Sloppy race, huh?
We're rolling.
Yeah, man.
Knack Hardware and Lounge brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1538, May 5th, 2025. 89 degrees was the record high on this day in the year 2000. And in 1989, it was 27 degrees.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
And today, I know much to your disappointment, concludes the ice out season.
No, bring him back.
Saddest day of the year.
On this day, Minnetonka went out in 1857 and again in 2018. No ice outs today for White Bear Lake. Thus concludes the 2025 ice out season.
And thanks once again to our friends at ProfessionalTurf.com for bringing us those ice outs.
Before the show, Reavers and I were talking, and the United States has become one giant SNL skit.
Yes.
It's no matter where you look, nothing makes sense. I want to share with you an obituary. Now, you would think, well, that's not very...
That's kind of morbid, sad.
I think it's an obit written to maybe compel commentary. So I don't think we're...
Okay.
And I don't mean any disrespect.
All right.
It's just that I happen to believe it was an obit written by somebody who had the right idea. And I can't help but feel I know the guy. He looks familiar. Patrick Eugene Foley. He died at the age of 79. Pat Foley. But the picture of him looks I swear... but I know a lot of...
yeah, he looks familiar.
I know a lot of Foleys.
Matthew was related to Matt Foley, right? That guy in the band.
Motivational speaker.
That was his cousin. He was the guy that lived down by the drink.
Born September 14th, 1945, died recently at age 79. Pat was one of 6 siblings, 4 brothers and 1 sister. Raised in a military Air Force family, he grew up in many parts of the U.S., plus 2 years in the Philippines. We estimated 20-plus different homes by the time any of us graduated from high school. Jeez. His grade school years were taught mostly by the Catholic nuns and graduated from Brophy Prep in Phoenix, Arizona. Pat served his time in the Army in the late 1960s. Overseas in South Korea, he mustered out in San Francisco, where he spent several years doing various jobs such as taxi driver, door greeter at a strip club, etc. Pat did act in an adult movie written and directed by a roommate where he had 2 parts.
Uh-oh.
A cosmonaut and a key piece of a doomsday machine.
Wow.
That
took a weird turn.
As a fan of the Dirty Harry movies, Pat and his brother Dick took a tour of the San Francisco area. They started at the rooftop pool of the Hilton where the female swimmer was shot. Pat filled a vial of water from the pool and tried to get to the top of the Bank of America headquarters where the sniper was. But that was a no-go. They visited City Hall, then walked over to North Beach via Chinatown, St. Peter and Paul Church, over to Broadway and Columbus Street, to Marina Green, Fort Mason, drive over and hike up to the cross on Mount Davidson, down to Monterey and Carmel, and ended the day with lunch at the Hog's Breath Inn, owned by Clint Eastwood. Early 1980s, he moved to the Twin Cities. Pat graduated magna cum laude from the University of Minnesota. He worked various jobs and ended up working 20 years for the phone company. Pat married Patty Holling June in 1993, lived many years in a small apartment with 6 cats where pets were not allowed. Patty passed away in March of 2021. Pat moved to a small apartment in St. Paul. He loved daily walks about the city, reading, and spending hours in coffee shops. He is missed by his family and friends. A celebration of Pat's life will take place at O'Halloran Murphy Funeral Home on Valley Creek Road in Woodbury on May 18th with a reception to follow. Pat will be interred next to his wife Patty at Fort Snelling. Attendees to gather at 9:30 a.m. at Assembly Area Number 2. Pat was strongly supportive of the country of Ukraine in their battle with Russia. As a memorial for Pat, we will direct all donations to fund Ukraine's war effort. To give a check, and then it gives the address. Now, I just think it was a very sweet send-off for this Pat Foley, but I have questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have two. What part of the Doomsday Machine would a human play?
It's a good. Well, he must have had a hidden talent.
And
Was
two,
that adult?
after such a
industry?
promising start to life, how did he end up with 20 years at the phone company?
You got to have a stable income.
There isn't even a phone company anymore, is there?
Well, sure.
Well, it used to be the phone company. It was,
Ma Bell.
yeah, there used to be a phone company. That was it,
But now it's T-Mobile.
I guess.
AT&T.
Yeah, I know. But it just says worked for the phone company.
That's Ma Bell.
I have an iPhone, Joe.
So I just thought you boys would like to hear that because it's not often you get the truth told in an obit. And I thought that
Why
was, 6
cats where there were not
well,
pets that were allowed?
I don't know. But boy, he looks familiar. Pat Foley.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Oh, and Jordy notes that we are gaining ice in the Antarctic. And that's according to Trump Executive Order 345155. I will add ice to the Antarctic. We have ice in the Antarctic.
Oh, here I thought it was going to be it's Trump's fault. We got too much ice now.
Oh, we have learned that the Minnesota House has rejected an amendment to prevent illegal immigrants from free college funds. So we have so much money that we're going to pay free college apparently for illegals, while the disingenuous Governor Buffoon is going to strip a 50-year practice of supplying a pittance to private education.
Got it.
Speaking of that, we have a variety of audio highlights for you today, including Hope Walz. Now, I understand that Hope is hoping to receive attention like she's getting right now. And so I hesitate to what's the word?
To give it to her.
Yeah.
I would recommend you not do it.
Yeah, but you got to hear this one.
It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, in fact, Kenny, it's one of those where it's how much of this soundbite, this 2-minute soundbite, is Amir possibly going to be able to take?
And if you watch the video of her saying these things, and she's an adult, she's fair game. If you watch the video, her eyes are really bugging out. I mean,
crazy eyes.
Just crazy eyes, like crazy.
No-go zone.
Well, that's a given.
Right.
Given her last name. But this is Hope talking about running, of all things. Running, jogging, running.
All right. Yogging.
Yogging.
Running as an act is political. And you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school, granted, I don't really do it as much anymore. I go in spurts. But when I was first getting into it in high school, the first thing he told me was that running is a privilege. And being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access.
Running community.
Blow it up, baby. I'm done.
Running community.
Blow it up.
That not everybody has access to?
Does she know that... well, you got to keep going so I can offer the principal form of criticism.
Whether you do it recreationally or you race a lot or you are, at the elite level, it is a privilege. Whether it be you just having the time to run, access to funds to buy the gear, access to, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running.
Now blow it up.
Okay, sorry.
Blow it up.
I don't have my explosion.
Well, where in the hell's the explosion?
Got it on your page, bro.
Does she
love her
know that
content.
every elite runner in the world is pretty much a destitute African?
I love her confidence.
Yeah.
There's no question in her voice at all. She is an authority when she's delivering
These
this
kids in
message.
Africa don't have the greatest nutrition in the world. They run barefoot, and they come to the U.S., and they just completely dominate the competition. But according to Hope, that couldn't possibly be, because according to her father, running is a privilege, and don't you forget that, child. Yes, you in the back.
One of the things that I think you glossed over was one of the things that so many people just don't have access to, which is time.
Time.
Wait, what? I think we all have time.
Time is available.
Sure. Well, that's because you're a white privileged man, Joe. That's why.
Well, then explain to me how all these the best runners in the world are from Africa. And they don't have shoes and they don't have food.
From what she said, couldn't you say everything in the world, every act
Of course.
John,
is, you could compare it to that?
John,
Yeah.
going number 2 is a highly political act.
Exactly.
And it's a privilege because
it's a
not
privilege,
everybody
yep.
has
access.
a toilet.
Right.
Which is true. There are billions of people who still poop outside.
So where you go number 2 is political.
No, where you go number 2 is a privilege, I would imagine. And there's nothing like it. It's
Well,
just
you want to find a good spot.
I must say she's very confident in her announcement. There's no question
Well,
in
no,
her voice
Haidt is onto
whatsoever.
it. John Haidt captured the deeper thought. Mysterians have so thoroughly wiped the slate of life as we know it that to them everything is viewed through a new lens. And that new lens must always contain oppression, privilege, poverty, whatever, no matter if it's true or not.
Yeah, you got to keep it alive.
And there is no room within that lens to accommodate mistakes, to accommodate inaccuracies, to accommodate hypocrisy. Because this young woman is just flat out an idiot.
You really complicated that for me.
No,
to
I'm
me,
not,
she-
because so they'll take the most innocent thing in the world, running, and turn it into an act that can only be done by overcoming oppression. I'm waiting for Kenny.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get that. What I got was if you're a runner, you're a good, solid Democrat, and you will never see a MAGA T-shirt or hat on a runner.
Well, you get that. You get
that's what
that too. Get
My
that.
dumbed down reaction is to that.
But the thing is she's following the playbook. She's just saying all of these outrageous things and posting them on social media, hoping to get notoriety because she wants to eventually at some point run for office.
Okay, so now we have to make a show decision. I say we don't play her anymore because we're playing into her hands.
We're giving her the attention
She
she
laps
craves.
this up. I mean, this is why she does these things.
Yeah.
So why are we doing it?
Yeah, she's here to light us up.
Yeah.
You know, and she succeeded. She got you all bent out of shape over something.
I'm not really been out of shape. I'm bemused.
Enough to put it on the air.
Yeah.
So that's an official decision? Is that a ruling?
Maybe we have to take it case by case.
All right.
Because she is capable of being even crazier than that.
No, we don't take it case by case. She's a dumb little girl she's just an idiot. Let's face
she's
it.
not even a girl. She's a dumb young woman.
All right. She's a dumb kid and doesn't deserve our attention.
I do want to say on behalf of Reavers,
So wait, I should use this as my YouTube highlight for today?
I
No,
wouldn't. I
please
would
don't.
not. I
No,
would not.
don't even mention it.
I just want to mention that Reavers has this horribly long commute that we give them grief about.
47.3 miles. if I
And
remember
you
right.
could live in the Twin Cities and get shot in the park for free.
That's true.
We got people getting shot down in Jordan shot at in Jordan at a park.
Yeah.
Well, you could live here and that happens.
I wouldn't have to spend.
You wouldn't have to spend. Think of the gas money you'd save and the hassles you'd save and all these soliloquies you have talking about your friends and neighbors driving up Highway 169. You can live right here. Go over to Robbinsdale. They got a park you can get shot at.
Yeah.
It's free here.
It's been a bad couple of days for us.
It's just
in Scott
free.
County.
We got
You could be sitting in a car on Bloomington Avenue South and get shot in the head.
Yeah. I don't see. It's coming to you, Reavers.
Right. So what you're saying is I need to move further away.
Moving on with audio, we have a case in Rochester, Minnesota, of a woman with a child throwing around racial slurs at a man, right?
No, a young boy. Wasn't it a young boy?
Young boy.
Yeah.
A young woman in Rochester, Minnesota was recorded in a viral video saying racial slurs when a man accused her of calling a child the N-word at a playground. She's now raised more than $600,000. The one who used the N-word has raised more than $600,000.
Her name is Shiloh Hendricks.
Shiloh, a foghorn. That's
gotta
ridiculous.
get Foghorn, yeah.
Shiloh.
And it's at a park, and the worst part about it is when you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no,
Jim.
go ahead.
The video. I'm obviously not going to play it.
Not yet.
Well, no, I'm not going to.
Oh.
Because it contains the.
Oh, I
N-word
thought that
several
was one
times.
of our audios today.
Well, no, but the reason I captured this is just because of what you're going to. But she's holding her, what, 2-year-old
She's holding a child
Hers, yes.
while being confronted by a fellow recording her, right?
Yes.
The man, a speaking off-camera view, asked the woman if she called another child at the playground the N-word. The woman begins walking away before turning around and calling the man the N-word and making an obscene gesture. This is all the while she's holding her very small child. He took my son's stuff, the woman said when the man pressed her. So that gives you right to call the child, 5 years old, that word, the man said. If that's what he's going to act like, the woman said. The TikTok clip was posted by Tizzy Ant. What does that mean?
It must be his handle on social media.
No, Tizzy is the guy that he posts videos. He's a left-wing fella.
Oh,
who
I did
posts
not know that.
videos that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's received more than 10.5 million views. Oh. The woman in the video launched an online crowdfunding page with the goal of reaching $1 million. The crowdfunding post claims the video caused the woman and her family great turmoil after her personal information, including her address, phone number, and social security number, were leaked online. I would not know that because I would not have gone online to read this story. The woman says in the post she fears her family will have to move and is asking for donations to help protect herself and her children. The NAACP Rochester branch launched its own crowdfunding effort to raise money for the 5-year-old boy involved in the incident. Organizers say the money will be used for... the whole country is just one big bleep show, isn't it?
It really is.
The money
Currently, it's at $625,000.
the money for the kid. The money will be used for legal redress and social justice efforts in support of the child and family, legal advocacy and accountability efforts. Broader social justice and anti-racism work in Rochester to change the culture and ensure this never happens again. That fundraiser has raised more than $100,000 with a goal of $250,000. All right. Oh, we got to add this too. NAACP officials add that the child who was called a racial slur is also on the autism spectrum. Well, who isn't? This is becoming dropped into everything that you run into.
Oh,
autism.
wait a minute. So the kid that the N-word was directed to?
Yeah.
Well, that might be a good reason why,
For his
if
behavior?
it's true, that the kid picked up somebody else's stuff and walked off. Simple explanation.
I guess the only reason I bring it up is I'm astonished that she's going to get any money.
How are you of right of mind if you're going to donate to her cause? Outside of, I guess, being a family member.
I can think of a lot of things I'd give money to before I gave money to that. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not condoning anything that she did, but help me understand what law was broken.
None that I'm aware of, just the law of good taste.
Right, and I'm not excusing anything she did. I guess when you mentioned the word lawyers, I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Were you like that?
Oh, sorry, it was something similar to that.
Yeah. Geez, I wish I would have taken the time before.
We live in historic times. I can't believe what I've been hearing so far. It's amazing.
Yeah, it has been quite a start, hasn't it, Kim?
And the company that's doing the crowdfunding, it's called Give, Send, Go. And they released a statement. The founder and chief executive of Give, Send, Go said the company does not endorse or condone the personal views or actions of individual campaign organizers or their supporters, nor do we control the motivation of donors. That said, they did mute all comments on this story.
Wouldn't it be interesting to know why persons, humans are so quick to anger? Isn't that something? Now, maybe that's true throughout history. What I'm really tired of are social media posts of irate women, excuse me, at the counter of a fast food restaurant. I'm fed up with it. And what they're doing generally is going crazy because they ran out of chicken or something.
The fry container was
move on in life. Right. Where's my note? Here it is. Devin Peterson writes, one of my hockey sticks was leaning against the corner wall and got into the garage door track on Saturday night. Long story short, I made an appointment with Precision Garage Door that night through their website. Not only was the serviceman, Greg, polite and knowledgeable, he gave me a $40 discount for referencing Gumption County. I have a garage door guy.
Nice.
You know what? I told that guy I was the mayor.
And you didn't get a discount.
I didn't get the discount. I didn't get the discount.
Doesn't always work out.
But he's telling a typical story. You need a garage door guy, and there's no better garage door guy than Precision Doors. MN, they serve Western Wisconsin. Does the email say where Devin lives? It just sounds like he called him Saturday night or made an appointment Saturday night. They got to him the next day and took that hockey stick out of the track and fixed the whole thing up. And he got a discount for mentioning Gumption County. Put this number into your telephone contacts for Precision Door, 612-263-6985, or you can do a Devin. Go online at Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com. And if you get a new door now, check all that out online. They're throwing in the motor. That's a value of more than $760. precisiondoormn.com.
Not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
But if you want the best lawn in the block, it's simple. Go with our team, ProfessionalTurf.com. They've been at it since 1982. So if you've already gone with a company that all of us at GL have used at one time or the other, are currently using, you've already been watching your lawn explode into a lush, luxurious carpet of green. And I know you've given that lawnmower a couple, 2-3 workouts. If you haven't yet called upon ProTurf, it's not too late. Schedule that free in-person lawn care analysis and estimate right now, ProfessionalTurf.com, and then get ready for the best lawn on the block. Whether you're a first-time homeowner just facing the puzzle of lawn care, or maybe you're well familiar with the struggle, put your lawn in the care of professionals that are going to make your lawn the envy of all your neighbors. ProTurf, we're talking exceptional lawn care, landscape, and irrigation service. Check them out, ProfessionalTurf.com.
I got a note from Mike, who sent us the April-May edition of the Minnesota Educator. I would imagine that's the magazine that goes out to the union members in Education Minnesota. And he's going to help us get through it. Dear Joe and GL, please review your average bi-monthly Minnesota Educator. People on the cover are carrying signs that read, Fire Elon, Bad Doge, Stop the Coup, Tax the Rich. Did they wave the Tax the Rich signs when billionaire Mark Dayton was governor? And the cover is, in fact, members of the union in the rotunda holding all these signs. Next, he says, Mayor, go to page 2. I would suggest waiting to eat before you read that. All right, we go to page 2. And we get a note from whoever this person is, the president, Denise Specht. And her no matter the challenges, we will not surrender our priorities or our values. And she's writing her editorial for the magazine, and her lead is 100 minutes was a long time to listen to President Donald Trump when he was spreading lies about public schools, especially when those lies will be used to harm the educators and students Education Minnesota stands for. I can't read the rest of it because I don't care. It's too long. Now what does he note? Mayor, enjoy page 6 next. Okay, let's go to page 6, even though he's got highlights every page. Let's go to page 6. Oh, boy, another group of photographs. Yes, that's Garage Logic favorite, Keith Ellison. Looking up above Keith is a sign that reads, make no mistake, Republicans are enabling the destruction of our democracy. And yes, there's Keith. Yeah, there's Keith. He's speaking to the teachers. Okay. I digress. Mayor, page 5. I have to go backwards. Page 5 is a must-read. This rally to fund our future is the theme, and all union teachers get this, I would think. Magazine means. Also, the NEA National Magazine is just like this. We'll send you one someday. I've been burning them. Please burn and shred when done. Hundreds gather in St. Paul for a rally to fund our future, because they get more than the state. They get more than half the state's budget, but they're rallying to fund their future. All right, now what does he say? 14 years of Democratic control, a near $18 billion surplus gone. Now it's all Trump's fault. Does that rally happen if Harris and Walz were in D.C.? That's a great question. Well, yes, I do believe it would, but it would just be focused on them begging for more money. They wouldn't be carrying any signs. So does our government and the salon. No clue why I'm in the union. 28 years public school teacher watching failure. So we're getting this from a teacher. It is hush-hush, but there is a way to avoid some of your dues going to the Democrat Party. Mayor, oh my, please check out today.com and scroll down to how does Education Minnesota spend my dues money? Oh, it's called optouttoday.com. $2.4 million were spent on airfare and hotels, $1.1 million on office expenses. Education Minnesota paid 200 officers and employees. I love your show and cast of characters. I think I will do my duty to retreat rule. I will try to keep my lunch down. I will retreat now. Mike, I won't say his name, but he's a teacher, 28 years, and he's sharing with us his frustration. Speaking of which, Walz is not backing down from his consideration to cut some funding for private schools, which has been taking place since 1969 when the busing started. And then in 1975, some counselors, some funding. The schools get the funding, and then they can spend it on certain proscribed things. The transportation stipend and whatnot. And this has been going on for more than 50 years. And Walz wants to eliminate the subsidy because of a future budget deficit that is estimated at $6 billion. And
That's the problem.
Well, the real problem with this is how can people not see through such a disingenuous statement?
Right.
This fellow has created the problem by allowing that $18 billion surplus to be blown. And now, because that just expanded government and we have more things to pay for, the current deficit to prepare a budget in the next 2 weeks is $6 billion. And he, with as much disingenuousness as I've ever seen, says, we have to trim this $100 million or whatever the amount is from private schools because we're trying to get this deficit under control. That is the work of a foul guy. That's below the belt.
It is.
Cutting funding to non-public schools doesn't resolve the issue for a state that has for decades had a significant disparity between our scholars of color compared to their white counterparts, said Benito Matias, the principal of Ascension School, a small school in North Minneapolis. So I was reading a Channel 4 piece, and they went and talked to some people in private schools.
There is going to be a rally, the Min Dependent. It's mindependent.org, and their mission is to connect and strengthen Minnesota's private and independent schools through programming partnerships and public policy. There's a rally at the Capitol Wednesday, May 7th at 1:30.
Urging lawmakers to save these paltry subsidies.
Yes.
Have we heard from any senators or representatives about this topic?
I bet there is not one DFLer who would vote no. Let me rephrase it. There's probably not one DFLer who would vote to continue the subsidies for non-private, for
Even
public.
if it goes against what they're doing in their own home?
Right. I bet there's not one Democrat who would stand up for this pittance that's been going to private schools for 50 years. And now, out of the blue, because he wants to pretend he's discovered some financial responsibility, this is who he picks on?
You know what?
This is his ideology at work. This has nothing to do with balancing the budget.
You know what this is akin to? Remember a while back, they reduced the sales tax or whatever tax by 0.0000%. He said, "I'm cutting taxes."
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
What a crying shame this is. That this guy is.
He's a real piece of work.
Do you want to talk to somebody from Mindependent, the president of their board of directors?
No, I want to know because I'm on their side. What can they tell me? I know what's
Well, they'll
going
probably
on.
just tell them
What I
what's-
want is get me a DFLer who's going to vote to preserve this subsidy.
That's
And
a
why?
unicorn. That's a unicorn.
Find me one. Find me a DFLer who was going to say, I disagree with Walz on this. We give a pittance to non-public education. I'm going to vote to continue that we give that amount to non-public education. Find me one. They can have the whole show.
Plus, Rook, I think what Joe's trying to say is if we have that person on, they'll lose based upon our track record.
They won't get their funding.
Right.
Not the whole show. Give them 5 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, that's better.
And we've really angered student loan borrowers.
We have?
Trump has.
Oh.
Because they got to start paying back today.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah.
Wait, but I'm supposed to do that?
Yep.
Bring back Biden. Bring back Biden.
Well, he didn't know what he signed.
No, that's
Somebody
true.
put a sheet of paper in front of him. Millions of student loan borrowers in default will start receiving notices today that they are being put into collections. The Department of Education said last month that it is trying to protect U.S. taxpayers from shouldering the cost of federal student loans that borrowers willingly undertook to finance their post-secondary education. I couldn't be happier. I'm sorry, you should have thought about this, but if you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans, you really didn't think it through, and there's no reason your neighbor across the street has to pay for you.
We have a mutual friend that has a relative who is a doctor, a medical practicing physician, who is waiting to pay back his school loans just to see if they would get paid back. A practicing physician.
So he can pay them back.
So now he has to pay them back
Yeah.
because the government's
Right.
not going to.
In other
But
words, he
he's
was
been-
sitting it out.
He's been eagerly awaiting the government to pay back his loans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a break and come back with Mr. Height?
We can, but first, let me tell you about our friends at North American Banking Company. 6 Twin Cities locations to serve you. I like to go to the one at 50th and France, but also sometimes I go to Roseville as well. But you can also see them in Hastings, Woodbury, and of course also in Maple Grove. They are the best. And I think you'll be happy if you decide to take your banking services, whether you are looking for a family or you have a business, whatever the case is. Check out North American Banking Company because they have one simple philosophy, and that's banking done differently. And they offer all of the same services as the other banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. They will be able to help you out. And they offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And with that big project coming up, maybe at home or the cabin, why not put your home's equity to work? And that's because a home equity line of credit from North American Banking Company is going to give you flexible access to funds when you need them most. So once again, check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Another weekend, another use for deep creep. I found one, the minerals. I don't know what Curly, Larry, and Mo were thinking when they dug my well, but the well water is for the garden contraption I use, highly dubious garden irrigation system. There's so many minerals in that well water that all the connections and everything just locked up tight. I can't even use the slip nose plier to get them apart. This was Saturday. So, of course, I doused, I guess the word is, everything with Seafoam Deep Creep, including that 4-way. I couldn't even get those things to turn. Doused everything with Deep Creep. The next day, voila, they spun off with these. I'm sorry to say that I did not have that can of Deep Creep in the Polaris Ranger side-by-side. That issue has been corrected. Seafoam Deep Creep, it works on everything and much better than any other product on the market. Not only on rusty parts, but also for cleaning and protecting. It lubricates, displaces moisture, resists evaporation and extreme heat. And the best part, it's available wherever fine automotive chemicals are sold. That goes for everything. The Deep Creep, the Bugs Be Gone, the engine treatment additives, and they're all must-haves for all GLers and their friends and family. Give them as gifts. Trust me, they'll love them. It's our own local company with a global reach, folks. It's Seafoam.
Here is John Height.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. A sports note before we get to the news. We know now who the Timberwolves will play in the Western Conference semifinals. Golden State beating Houston in the deciding Game 7 last night. Being the higher seed, the Wolves will have home court advantage in the series. That means, of course, if it goes 7, 4 of the games will be here in the Twin Cities. Game 1 tomorrow night, 8:30. At the Target Center.
You know what's going to be my favorite part about the extended coverage locally of the upcoming series is when you'll see Fry and you'll see Walz with their Timberwolves hats on with the tag still on it, talking about how great it is. Look at our crowd now back in downtown Minneapolis.
Right.
These are all runners.
Yeah, right.
What a privilege.
I'm already going to apologize. I said the Target Center, and sometimes I get emails saying it's just Target Center. Don't say the Target Center.
Please.
So
Wait, what?
I apologize.
You read my emails?
Yeah, apparently. In news, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office is under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice over its new policy to consider race when making plea agreements. The U.S. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, announced that they would be launching the investigation. According to the letter shared by Dillon, the investigation will focus on whether or not the Attorney's Office engages in illegal consideration of race in its prosecutorial decision-making. Daniel Borgert-Pepping with the Hennepin County Attorney's Office said they were aware of the letter but said they had not received it as of Sunday afternoon. Still, Borgert-Pepping said the office would cooperate with any resulting investigation. The policy adopted last week by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office instructs prosecutors to weigh a defendant's race and age when negotiating plea deals. When speaking to our friends at 5 Eyewitness News, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty defended the plan, saying the policy is an attempt to address racial disparities.
Is that group going to do any other sort of investigating of her practices and policies, or just this one issue?
Just that issue for now.
Just sounded like
Is that
the
too
issue.
bad? Because there's a lot to investigate when it comes to her and her policies.
A man and a woman are in the hospital with serious injuries today after being shot Sunday night in Robbinsdale's Sanborn Park. According to Robbinsdale police, officers heard multiple gunshots to the east of County Road 81 and 40th Avenue North about 9:20 last night, and shortly after, reports of a shooting were received. After officers got to the park, they found a young woman believed to be about 19 years old who had been shot in the head. They began life-saving aid to the woman, who was taken to North Memorial Medical Center. Her injuries are considered grave. While officers didn't find any other victims at the scene, a man believed to be in his 20s did show up at Methodist Hospital shortly after 10 p.m. with a shooting injury. He was taken to Hennepin County Medical Center with injuries listed as serious. Police say they are continuing to investigate the shooting, and as of this morning, no arrests had been made.
See, Reeves, you don't have to. You could
true.
stay here and get it for free.
I'm confused about that one part, though, John. If he was shot in Minneapolis, why did he go all the way to Methodist?
I don't know. No, it was in Robbinsdale. He was shot.
Well, even still, that's a half an hour away.
Because did he go to North Memorial?
No, he went to Methodist Hospital.
Yeah, Methodist.
Because North Memorial is your go-to gunshot
I
hospital.
thought HCMC. No?
No, I think it's North Memorial.
Gotcha.
Maybe he thought the further away he went, Chris, police wouldn't investigate
Oh, I
it.
suppose.
I don't know.
Interesting.
A St. Paul man is in custody after running from authorities while being in possession of a BB gun on Saturday morning. According to the Minnesota State Patrol, troopers were dispatched to a crash in the area of I-35 East South and Cayuga Street just before 9:25 in the morning. While they were responding, authorities saw a man in the area with what appeared to be a rifle-style weapon. State Patrol said the troopers tried to make contact with the 40-year-old man, but he ran away and hid near the MnDOT building near I-35E and Maryland Avenue. The man would not comply with commands, so St. Paul police used pepper ball to get him out of hiding and eventually arrested him. They discovered the man had a rifle-style BB gun in his possession. Nobody injured in the incident. The man was booked into the Ramsey County Jail.
Wait a minute. Something's not working for me. Where was the initial call for 35E and what?
Cayuga.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
All right. Those two waypoints are not far apart.
Yep.
All right.
A horrific story from the Star Tribune. An unlicensed driver purposely hit 4 pedestrians in crosswalks in 2 back-to-back crashes in South Minneapolis, with one of the victims being dragged beneath the vehicle and suffering fatal injuries. 38-year-old Sophia Elizabeth Sullivan was charged in Hennepin County District Court with 4 counts each of criminal vehicular operation and second-degree assault, 1 count of first-degree assault in connection with the incidents that happened last Wednesday. But as of this morning, the second incident has been reclassified as a murder, now that one of the victims has died. At the time of the crashes, Sullivan was driving while her license was revoked, according to a State Department of Public Safety spokesperson. According to the charges and records, 2 females told police they were at the intersection of West 26th Street and Grand Avenue South and entered the crosswalk after the traffic light turned green for them. A car ran the light and hit both of them. One of the females suffered a head injury, while the other had minor burn marks caused by contact with the concrete and some bleeding, according to the charges. Then about 5 minutes later, and a half mile to the west, Sullivan stopped her car momentarily, drove along 2 people walking on a sidewalk, sped up, and hit both of them once they entered the crosswalk at Emerson Avenue South. Sullivan's car accelerated to a high speed and plowed directly into them, according to witnesses. One of the victims, was thrown 30 feet before he ended up down next to a parked vehicle. Sullivan kept driving with the other victim on her hood until she abruptly braked. The female victim was thrown from the hood, landed on the road. The person continued to drive down the road, dragging the female under the car. Thanks to surveillance video, officers quickly caught up with Sullivan at her home and arrested her. Her car was parked outside. It was heavily damaged, appeared to have fresh blood on it. Both victims in the second incident taken to the emergency medical responders to HCMC. The female suffered numerous serious injuries, and it's anticipated she wouldn't survive, they said on Friday, and now she has died over the weekend. The male suffered a broken wrist and other less serious injuries.
What are we accounting? What's going on here?
There was no explanation from police, from her, to the police why
Is she out of jail yet?
she's $1 million bail. She's in
Well,
jail.
once Mary gets a hold of this new rule, I mean, she's probably going to walk away scot-free, right?
Sounds like it.
It's got to be mental illness, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it were personally, you think, why would there be two incidents?
Right.
You know? So. And a teenager was rescued after falling out of a moving boat without a life jacket Saturday in Douglas County. Happened a little after 2 in the afternoon. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office getting a 911 call that someone had fallen out of their boat and the boat was still going in circles on Lake Miltona. The 15-year-old who fell in the water was also able to call 911 while yelling for help. Law enforcement adds he was not wearing a life jacket. The person with the pontoon was able to rescue the teen from the water, brought him to the public lake access where he was treated by medics. A local dock and lift company was able to stop the unoccupied boat during the rescue. Sheriff's Office said they'd like to use this occasion to remind people to always wear a life jacket.
Isn't Lake Miltona fairly sizable?
Yeah, it's a nice big one.
Because I thought they said Dakota County, and I spent 10 minutes trying to find Lake Miltona in Dakota County. There is no such thing.
You're brilliant.
Yeah.
No, it's actually north of Alexandria, up by Miltona.
Yeah.
And the reports I was being read off social media, so grain of salt, set a 55-horse outboard on a 14-footer, a tiller.
That's a lot of motor for 14 feet.
Yeah, it sure is.
Why don't we take a quick break here? We'll have national and international stuff right after we hear from the rookie.
Thank you, Mr. Height. It is the rookie for innovative garage flooring. Transform your garage, and that beautiful, it starts with the floor. You can put stuff on the walls, all that kind of stuff, but everybody's going to be looking at the floor, and they, at Innovative Garage Flooring, do a fantastic job. If you're tired of the boring, cracked, or stained garage floors, they've got over 30 years of experience. Residential, commercial, industrial spaces, one of the strongest warranties in the business. And maybe that open house is coming for that kid that's graduating. Now is the time to get it done. Many different styles, many different colors. They have their showroom in Blaine where you can check them out online as well at innovativegarageflooring.com. 763-291-0110. They got a price match guarantee. You're getting the best deal, and you're getting a solid garage floor look. Check them out online, again, at innovativegarageflooring.com, or, once again, 763-291-0110. You got to revere your garage, and it starts with the floor. Make it look good with Innovative Garage Flooring.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
In national and international news, President Trump said in an interview that aired on Sunday he didn't know whether every person on American soil was entitled to due process, despite constitutional guarantees, and complained that adhering to that principle would result in an unmanageable slowdown of the mass deportation program. The exchange happened with Kristen Welker on NBC's Meet the Press. She asked the president if he agreed with Secretary of State Marco Rubio that citizens and non-citizens in the U.S. were entitled to due process. The president replied, "I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know." Welker told the president the Fifth Amendment says as much, and he replied with, "I don't know. It seems I might say that, or it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials." When Welker asked whether as president he needed to uphold the Constitution, the president replied with, "I don't know," and referred back to what he called his brilliant lawyers. Labor's Anthony Albanese in Australia has defied the so-called incumbency curse to be re-elected Australia's prime minister in a landslide. Official vote counting won't finish for days, but Albanese's centre-left government will dramatically increase its majority after the Conservative Liberal National Coalition suffered a thumping defeat nationwide. Even coalition leader Peter Dutton lost his own seat of 24 years, said he accepted full responsibility for his party's loss and apologized to members of his party. Cost of living concerns, especially the affordability of health care and housing, dominated the 5-week campaign. International relations also reared its head with the issue of how to deal with President Trump looming large over the election in Australia like it did in Canada. Dutton, seen by many as Australia's Trump, which appeared to go down badly with voters, despite his attempts to shake off comparisons. made between his policies on immigration, public sector cuts, and China and the Trump administration. Warren Buffett will step down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway by the end of the year. The 94-year-old made a surprise announcement at the company's annual shareholder meeting, a widely anticipated event referred to as the Woodstock of capitalism. Born and raised and still living in Omaha, Nebraska, Buffett took the lead at Berkshire Hathaway, then a struggling textile company in 1970. Since then, the company has grown into a wide-ranging conglomerate with controlling shares in about 70 companies. Buffett used his speech to speak out against President Trump's trade policies, saying trade should not be a weapon. He said trade and tariffs can be an act of war. He said, I think it's led to bad things, just the attitudes it's already brought out. In the United States, we should be looking to trade with the rest of the world. We should do what we do best, and they should do what they do best.
I believe Buffett over Trump. That's my official,
Here.
my
Okay.
official statement.
Out on a limb.
Yeah.
I wonder if he looks back and has any regrets on some of the moves he's made, because it seems like everything he's done since he was a boy has turned to gold. I'm wondering if there's one thing that really bugs him. He's an interesting man.
Very interesting. And his right-hand man was an interesting guy.
Yeah. Yep.
What was your favorite, just to put I'm inserting something into John's newscast. What was your favorite Trump take from the weekend? Anybody, staff, anyone?
Did I bring it up on the area?
No.
Alcatraz.
You liked Alcatraz?
The Alcatraz made my belly jiggle. It was so funny and ridiculous.
He wants to reopen it in case people are wondering.
Yeah,
what he's talking about.
Right.
God, I love it when he says stuff like that. It's so fun because it just triggers everybody.
He does want to refurbish it, though, so he wants to build it back up.
If I was Trump, I would
I would
turn it into like maybe apartments or
A new Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
condos. Just put me a good, solid, soundproof door on my cell, and I'll be happy.
I didn't like the dressing up as the Pope.
That rubbed me the wrong way for sure.
Well, A, it wasn't funny, and B, what it does is I just think he couldn't stand the publicity the Pope was getting. He's so egocentric that he...
Did he actually do it, or was...
No, this came from the White House.
The White House
Yeah.
press.
That's ill-advised to get into.
See, when I
religion
saw it, I
like that.
immediately thought it was AI.
Yeah, that's...
No, they're
No,
taking
it
credit
was.
for it.
No, I know,
It was
but
the Trump administration that sent it out.
yeah, that wasn't.
I have a brother-in-law who's a deacon, and he was not. How can I put this?
Yeah, I would imagine that would
Who's not
trigger some
impressed.
folks.
No, it's the overarching problem. The problem is that he thinks he's the king of the world, and if you get more publicity than he does, then he's going to go after you.
I especially love when you get triggered. That's fun.
I don't know if I'm terribly triggered. I'm just saying that I didn't think that was funny. Why did he see? Let's see him dress up as an imam. Then I'll be, let's do a Muslim cleric deal. How's that?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
With him, it could.
Yeah, it could. This is the week Real ID goes into effect after years of delays and postponements. Starting Wednesday, your license or ID card will need to be Real ID compliant to fly domestically in the U.S. If you've already gotten a new ID in the last few years, there's a good chance it already could be Real ID compliant. It has a symbol in most states, a star in the top corner of the card. If you live in Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, or Washington, it's possible you could have an enhanced ID card instead, which permits you to cross land and sea borders into Mexico and Canada. It does not, however, allow you to fly into either of those countries. Enhanced IDs will have an American flag logo as well as the word enhanced at the top. Now, if you don't have a real ID by the deadline and you're planning to board a domestic flight, you will need to bring your passport or another TSA-approved form of ID when you travel. Otherwise, you could face delays, additional screening, and the possibility of not being permitted into the security checkpoint, according to TSA spokesperson Lisa Farbstein.
Here's my question. I have the enhanced. It's got the gold star, the whole deal.
Yep.
Okay, it expires in 2028. Well, my only question is, do I got to go through all that BS again to get it, or will I just
poor
renew
thing.
it?
No,
First, you're going to have to
redo
ask
it.
yourself, will you be alive in 2020?
Well, if I am, and I want a new license.
No, you'll just renew.
I don't want to have to redo the paperwork.
No, you just renew
Oh,
it.
it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Well, you speak for yourself, son.
In a
Matthew,
case, go ahead. Sorry.
So, help me out. I also will be receiving my enhanced soon. That means I can drive into Canada, but I still can't fly into Canada.
If you have it enhanced, you can do everything.
You can do anything you
Do
want.
anything with it. Yeah.
You can fly the plane.
You can run the ship.
What? So it's what if you show up at the airport next week without any of the above, and you want
Then you ain't flying.
You want to fly domestically?
Nope.
You will be pulled aside by TSA, and they'll ask
Beaten to within
Joe,
an inch of
Joe,
your
yes.
life.
you an inch
Joe.
of your life.
You're going to be surprised at the answer. Go ahead, Matt.
They will take you aside and they will ask you personal questions only that you would know: prior residences, where did you work, what's your phone number, and once they're satisfied with the fact that you are answering those questions as Kenneth Allen Olson, you will be allowed to board the aircraft.
What problem are we solving?
Isn't it? Hold
we're
on,
just-
Chris.
oh.
Isn't it interesting that nobody is reporting that? They're all saying you will not be able to.
Well, they want to put the fear of God in you, but that's what currently happens right now. If you've lost your driver's license, you go through another process, and then TSA decides if you're able to proceed.
All right.
I would
thank you.
like to point out, Kenny, that I did say what Rook said. So don't say everybody's reporting it wrong.
Thank you, John.
John, stop.
Okay,
copying
well,
me.
how does TSA know that Kenny's telling the truth?
Oh,
They'll
they
go-
know. That's unfortunate.
They'll ask for his social security number.
Joe, they know
pull it
about your
up, and-
polyps. They know about your missing teeth. They know everything.
If I may interrupt the conversation again for a minute, Rook and I just contradicted each other, so I better read this again. It says here, if you haven't enhanced, you won't be able to fly into
Domestically
those countries.
or to Canada?
No, to Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, I was
You can
asking
drive.
Matthew specifically domestically.
Okay. Oh, not Mexico. And
Right,
Canada.
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Domestic, you're fine.
What about
Never.
the Baja?
My bad.
I'm on the
Yeah,
Baja.
what about the Baja?
If you're going off the grid, you know.
Ruth Buzzy has died. I don't know.
Well, she had to sometime.
Ruth. How old was
Joe and
she?
I might be the only two who remember.
I got it.
Oh, don't insult me like that.
Well, I'm trying to tell you, you're young.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got it.
Ruth,
Thank you, John.
I wasn't insulted, John.
you know her? Ruth was on Roland Martin's Laugh-In. That's where she did that. Also on 200 different television shows during her 45-year career. She died at the age of 88 last week in her home in Texas, according to her agent. She had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and was in hospice care. She was best known, you might remember her, the little old lady sitting on the bench who would hit Artie Johnson over the head with her purse when he would make comments to her.
Yeah, and Edith Ann.
Anybody ever read
was
John D.
really tough.
McDonald? The busted flush houseboat that he lived on. And
Yeah.
No.
Travis McGee was his guy. And
No, why? Sure.
he and Dan Rowan communicated by letter to the extent where I think there's a book of the letters.
I
They
have
were
the book sitting
great
right over
buddies.
there.
Yeah.
Really?
But if you haven't read John D. McDonald, Kenny, you're a reader, you'd love him.
Yeah. And
I'll write it
they're
down
good,
right now.
breezy reasons.
Oh,
readings, too.
he has busted flush. He won in a card game that was set up at Pier 66, and he was, a sought after solver of crimes.
Should I start with Busted Flush?
We'll just start with the first one.
Okay.
What was his? Who was the hairy economist? Meyer.
Yeah.
His. In other words, his Randy Wayne White has Doc Ford, and his buddy is Tomlinson. John D. McDonald had Travis McGee, and his right-hand guy was an economist named Meyer. Oh, you'd love them. They're just wonderful.
They're fun. They're breezy. I have them all. I read about 6 or 7,
Yeah.
and then I thought I should get them all. So I got them all, but I haven't read the rest.
They're
yet.
just wonderful.
They're on a shelf waiting for me.
I need something easy and
Well, you go with that,
relaxing.
then.
Yeah.
You know,
Who's that commie? I just finished his book, Sometimes Not So Outrageous a Dream. The guy from Dakota moved to Minneapolis, World War II correspondent.
Severide?
Yeah, Severide. Oh, boy. God. Ugh. That was painful getting through.
There's a city. Let me wrap up with this one. There's a city in Tennessee called Nutbush. We may know it all because there's a Tina
Tina
Turner
Turner. Yeah.
about it where she grew up, right? Well, the city is involved in a news story that has some amazing coincidences and names. So I'm sorry if you're offended. I'll just start with that. Here we go. A second arrest has been made after a cockfighting operation where over 400 roosters and chickens were discovered in a Nutbush home earlier this month. Jose Naranjo is charged with 47 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals, 4 counts of cruelty to animals, 2 counts of cockfighting. On April 9th, officers say they responded to an animal cruelty call at a home in the 1200 block of Wiener Road.
Come on.
Please.
Come on.
I looked it up in 2 different places. Just to make sure somebody wasn't scamming.
Do you think the local news gathering people all raced to run to see who could cover this story?
Oh,
like Royce, you wanted to pay to write the Ontario Smith Wizinator column?
Cockfighting fight on Wiener Road in Nutbush.
Hey, now.
Well,
you know, this story also has, it's a long story, I won't read it all, but do you know how they train them?
I don't.
They have a big stuffed rooster glove.
Boy,
And
stuffed.
they fight with the rooster with the glove on their hand.
I'll be damned.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I think that's weird.
The whole world is a skit.
Sounds like it's an acquired taste.
Just a skit.
Anyway, all these people involved in this have been arrested and charged with
Well,
all
as
kinds
well
of
they
counts
should
of
be.
What are the names of those people?
And they'll all be. They're all
Harry.
normal, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Harry.
South Dakota is one
Take
of
it from here, boss.
Yeah. And go.
I don't think there's any street names like that. And I don't think South Dakota has a town called Nutbush.
No.
No. South Dakota's on the up and up. It's one of the most business-friendly states in the country. If you're moving your business, expanding your business, maybe you want to start a new business, take a look at Sioux Falls, the state's largest city with a metro population of more than 290,000, but best of all, low business costs. There is no state or corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, no limits to what your business can achieve. Just like Minnesota, except for all that stuff. It's tax-friendly, man, hard-working, most popular to move to. I'm talking about Sioux Falls, top10.com. 50 best places to live for families, according to Fortune magazine, and one of the best small cities for Gen Z workers. Entrepreneurs are welcome. Find out everything you need to know about Sioux Falls. It's one word. We're showing the video right now, aren't they? They got a lot of little river runs through town, the whole deal. SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. I want to read you a note. We have a Soviet-era spacecraft from an aborted Venus mission is going to crash to Earth next week.
Oh, we got that going for us.
Don't worry about it.
Where's it coming down at? Do we know?
They don't know.
She going to hit the drink?
Good, we're 75% water in this world, aren't we? Something like
Sure
that.
hope it hits my dairy barn.
Steve Mulholland he's a loyal GL listener in the belly of the beast, Liberal Lakes area of Minneapolis, says he's summing up some points we've talked about, but he does it very well. Your discussion about the woman trying to put her life back together only to be duped by the fraudulent agency, ironically named Brilliant Minds, really shines a light on how ridiculously inefficient the government is, regardless of the proliferous fraud we're seeing in Minnesota and around the country. He's referencing a story we had Friday about a new agency run by the health department where you can get a little help for housing stability. Turns out it's all fraud, allegedly. So you mean to tell me that Medicaid provides financing to various state agencies around the country? Here in Minnesota, the Department of Human Services provides support to a sub-agency called Housing Stabilization Services, which in turn reimburses small non-government organizations like Brilliant Minds, which, like Feeding Our Future and other fraudulent NGOs, is ripping off taxpayers and leaving their clients, like this woman or school children or autistic kids, in the dust. This all leads to my question. Think of the size of the administrations for Medicaid, DHS, HSS, and countless other state agencies. Their size and number of employees are enormous. Medicaid alone has 6,000 employees. Minnesota DHS has over 7,000. So why in God's name do we need these small GMOs to do the work of the government, particularly when they're not serving their clients and ripping off the taxpayer with their money-making schemes and rampant fraud? It would seem the state and federal governments employ more than enough people to administer the less fortunate. Keep pushing back. To which I would say, here. That's the problem we keep encountering is the multiple reasons for this inefficiency. Why just the beaches this summer will be topless.
Amen, brother. Next story.
Minnesota beaches may never be the same following a unanimous state Supreme Court ruling this week overturning a woman's indecent exposure misdemeanor conviction on the grounds that men, transgender individuals, and breast cancer survivors are not held to the same standard. So apparently, I guess
Let's go to the beach right now and check in.
Oh, that gives me a bad cartoon bubble.
Well, Joe,
I'm seeing wrinkles.
Yeah, the problem is I was at a nude beach one time, and boy, the people you see there are probably not the ones you want to.
That can be the problem, can't it?
I don't understand. You're lying to people. You're lying to yourself.
Well, at least the one experience I had, it was
There's
that
not
way.
one guy on the face of the planet, heterosexual, mind you, that doesn't want to see any woman topless. Any woman, any legal age.
We have the mayor
Any
of
size.
Boobs are fun.
We have the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, is going to solve crime. He's got a new idea
Brand
to
new.
solve crime. You ready?
Mayor says
panic button that you'll immediately be able to hit that is going to alarm the police and is going to be connected directly to the local precincts. When you do the combination, it's going to give you access to the cameras in the store to see what is taking place and how we could get an immediate response.
Sounds like Tracy Morgan.
So what you do is you're going to wear a giant clown button.
Like a life alert.
Yeah, and help me, I've fallen, I can't get up.
Correct.
You hit this button, apparently that alerts the cops somewhere.
Hey, hold on, put your gun down. I got to hit my panic button.
Right.
And I can't leave you without today's Ilhan Omar update.
Kind of a potpourri at the
Oh, well, it
end of
is,
your
but we
answer.
have a lot. I could do 5 shows today.
Yeah,
we have a
here.
lot of stuff
Give her
today.
one of
Just
these
think it's
here.
important for the
Here is your
GOP.
latest Ilhan Omar report on Garage Logic.
This is, set this up, Chris.
Ilhan Omar was speaking at an event. This is courtesy of, hang on, I got to get the outlet.
Wait a minute. The foul-mouthed Ilhan Omar.
KAAD
Pirate mouth.
Somali TV. This is who captured the audio.
So we have Somali TV in this country that films some things.
I believe so.
Sure.
And she's speaking Somalian.
Well,
so
I'm sure we'll all understand it.
not really.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay.
no in jidadkeennii aan wada dhisanno anigu waan ahay gabar maraykanka laga doortay oo kongareska maraykanka ku jirto laakiin waxaan ahay gabar Soomaaliyeed gabar idinku jinsi ah gabar idinku af ah gabar idinku diin ah oo hadde qof iyadoo da'yar waddankeedii laga kaxeeyay wili xiise u qabto in maalin waddankeedii ay ku noolaato oo dadkeedii wax ay la wadaagto.
Yep.
Would you like the conversion?
I would, Chris.
She says, I am a Somali girl taken from my country. I miss my country, and I dream of living in Somalia again one day.
Can't we start a GoFundMe page?
Yeah. We can make that happen.
We
Well,
could make that happen.
The gal in Rochester did.
Let's take the money from the gal in Rochester and give it to Ilhan and say, go home and
You know
be
what?
a-
We want to help you out.
She was taken from her country, huh? BS. She couldn't wait to get out of that hellhole.
Right.
What?
You doing vowels now?
And I can't let you all go without talking about robots. Because I have a serious question.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Not many outlets are covering this. The conventional news gatherers aren't covering this, but many have.
What was your thing last week where you were asking if they were going to come to your house?
That was the bots.
That was the bots. Okay.
This is film, I've seen it, of a robot in a Chinese robot factory attacking its handlers.
See? They go mute.
This is CCTV footage from a factory floor showing the robot attached to a crane. One man is sitting behind a computer screen and another standing nearby. They were chatting when the machine suddenly began moving, seemingly of its own accord. It raised its arms in the air and brought them down again, repeating the motion with increasing speed and intensity. The men could be seen flinching and cowering as they moved out of its path. The computer model toppled onto the floor and other items were knocked over on the desk. Eventually, one of the men pulled the crane from behind in a bid to stop the spree of destruction. It is not clear when or where these dystopian scenes unfolded. My question is, why? I don't even know how to talk about this. Why would a robot, apparently out of control, however briefly, why was its default behavior anger?
Yeah, I don't get that. They don't have
I mean,
emotion.
it doesn't have the ability to come up with anger.
Sounds like a program director I had to deal with a few years ago.
Okay, here's why this is so off-putting. Why would the robot be angry? Why wouldn't it have just as easily been docile?
Probably because it's bad at its job. He's frustrated that this is a dead end. He'll never be a GM or an owner.
I guess I'm going to get nowhere with my question.
No,
Union dues.
We don't know, Joe. We don't know.
That's AI, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, are these devices programmed to be angry?
It was probably what they like to call a glitch. There's a glitch.
Joan, hello.
Hi.
My name is Cheryl.
Hi,
I have
Cheryl.
been hired to be the official Positive Thursday regulation robot.
It's Monday. You dumb bitch.
Jesus! Wow! It's a computer.
The world is a bleep show.
Tune in this afternoon. Wow, Joe.
Cheryl, I apologize
If you're
if you were offended.
If you're offended, yeah.
But you're a robot, Cheryl. How could you be offended?
What inspired that bit? I forget.
Cheryl, what do you think about Kenny? Do you have any thoughts on?
Oh yeah,
Was that Cheryl or was that the guy?
I think that was the guy.
Oh, that was the guy. You're right. Yeah, you're
When
right.
Kenny speaks was something about radio.
That was just
Okay, Kenny.
No, that's Royce.
No, radio's clicking off or something.
Yeah, where the heck did that go?
God, it was wonderful.
Joe. When Kenny speaks,
Joe, when Kenny speaks, I can hear radio dials changing channels all over the Twin Cities.
I love that.
The truth.
I love that.
Oh, all I can do is cry.
Yeah.
See, if you make a robot and let's go with Kenny, and a glitch occurs, and now the robot is acting on its own, why wouldn't it just not act at all? In other words, see, this is very difficult to talk about
We
because
just shut down.
why wouldn't it just slump and be
Right.
done,
Right.
not
Like-
doing anything?
Yeah. I think that's a legitimate question.
But instead of doing nothing and pausing,
It goes on a terror.
it tries to go after these two guys in the studio trying to work on them. What the hell's going on here?
It is, though. I don't know. I know robots can't feel, so what I'm going to say sounds stupid.
See, that's why this is hard to talk about.
Yeah, it's tethered and tied up, so maybe it feels restrained. Although,
But it can't
again,
feel, John.
How can it
Shackled.
feel?
It feels shackled.
Yeah,
It can't
how can
feel shackled. It doesn't know what feeling shackled means.
What if it has taken over mind control?
Well, that's where I'm headed here.
I have a
Mr.
better question. Why do you pronounce it like it's spelled R-O-B-U-T?
robot.
I don't know how to say the word. It's one of the words I have trouble with.
We called him on that about 10 years ago.
I know. You've been on
remember?
me for that. It's like John with boom.
Boom. Same thing.
It's robot.
Why don't we just blow up the robot with the bomb?
The two workers were just there trying to do sports updates and traffic reports when the robot swaggers in a huff.
Well, look at the video. If you think this is...
I've already lived it. I don't need to.
You have not even come close.
It's frightening to look at because it just starts swinging. I mean,
And it's frightening because there's no way to talk about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a heart. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a brain.
Exactly.
And now it acts angry, which would be the indication of a brain or a soul or a heart or well, maybe a liver and a pancreas and an appendix. Only because they come to us.
Yes, sir.
Is Pat here?
I haven't seen him yet.
Pat, are you out there?
He didn't do his pre-show chat with us.
I'm here.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, from the traveling Lymans.
Make sure you enunciate.
It was on this day.
Cinco de Mayo, May 5th.
Well, in 1820 on this day, after a terrible winter in which 40 of his 100 men died, probably from scurvy, Colonel Henry Leavenworth moved his soldiers to Camp Coldwater, about a mile northwest of the proposed site of Fort Snelling, which the troops later constructed. Local Dakota people already called this site Minneowi-Snee, Coldwater Spring. On this day...
Scurvy doesn't sound like something I'd enjoy.
No. On this day...
May 5th.
In 1880... I remember this from years past. Lightning struck the Faribault Gas Works, destroying 1,000 gallons of naphtha used to power the city's gas lights.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up naphtha.
What is it?
It's a solvent. It's a cheap byproduct of oil. It's a kind of a low-rent fuel for things like streetlights and things like that.
Gotcha.
On this day...
May 5th.
In 1884, Charles Albert Chief Bender was born in Brainerd. The Ojibwe pitcher was the first Minnesotan inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He pitched in 5 World Series for the Philadelphia Athletics, and his career record was 212 and 127. I don't think is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You just said it.
First Minnesotan inducted, it said, into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. It's right there. I just read it.
That's where I heard it.
This is
I thought
pisses off the robot.
You know what? I thought it meant the Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. Fair mistake.
Is that
Thank
a
you.
thing?
Oh, yeah. We got
You know what's interesting? He made it, and he only had 212 wins.
Well, you got to give him a little credit for being an Ojibwe.
Oh, well, for sure. But I find that interesting.
1953, Joe, he was inducted.
He went in, huh?
Yep.
On this day,
May 5th.
in 1973, Father Frank F. Perkovich celebrated Minnesota's first polka mass at Resurrection Catholic Church in Eveleth. Drawing on his Slovenian and Croatian roots, Perkovich had arranged traditional folk music and adapted hymns in English. Bringing the polka mass.
You think they featured that
I think they had that. Bringing the polka mass to the Iron Range and later celebrating it in venues around the world. Now, you would think a polka mass would have been held long before 1973.
Yes. You would think.
You would think.
Well, especially in places like Winona, where there's a heavy Polish population.
Free bar at that church, then, right?
Probably. And finally, on this day,
on May 5th, Joe,
in 1975, In the Heart of the Beast Puppet Theater presented its first Minneapolis May Day parade, part peaceful protest, part carnival, part celebration of the communists having killed more than 100 people in the world by now. The parade is a South Minneapolis tradition occurring every year on the first Sunday of May. I added the communist part.
What day was that?
Yesterday.
No, what year?
Today.
No, that last item you read.
1975.
Also was the day that my younger sister Maria was born.
Well, that has nothing to do with the heart of the theater.
So I'm not saying happy birthday.
The
to
heart
her,
of the
but
puppet.
If I did say
If I said happy birthday, Maria, that'd be something. We don't do
we
that.
don't do that, so that's too bad. Loyal garage logician.
Yeah, I think only about 100 million people so far have been slaughtered by communists. So let's celebrate that on May Day. What the hell? It's always good to know that.
Mayday.
Yeah, and then, but it's okay if you have a big funny puppet. Hey,
hey.
it's okay. Hey, pay no attention to the 100 million dead.
Jesus.
Only on this day.
We're ending with a bang, huh?
Wow, Joe.
Well, it's a phony baloney deal.
Anybody else you want to call a dumb bitch?
No, only you.
He shoots, he scores. Good job, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute. What is this one?
Sports disappointments?
Oh, shoot. Sure.
That's what I thought you were reaching
Thanks
for.
for reminding him.
Do we got one? Yes, we do.
Let me guess. The Wild lost in the first round again?
Again?
Only one. On this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history.
May the 5th be with you.
In 1998, North Carolina citizens voted down Don Beaver's plan for a stadium, killing his plan to move the Twins.
Was it Raleigh?
Yeah, but is that a sports disappointment for Minnesota? No, that was we dodged a bullet.
I thought for sure they were leaving.
We dodged a bullet. I did too, but I thought they were going to Phoenix.
Well, didn't he turn out to be a charlatan with a carpetbagger with no money whatsoever?
Yes. Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Did Phoenix have a what year did they?
Diamondbacks didn't start until wasn't it 98?
Okay, I thought the Twins were going to Phoenix.
Okay.
And fortunately, they have remained here. They're on a winning streak. They're looking good. The weather's turned. They got Baltimore in town tomorrow night. Go, Twins, go!
Come on!
It always is too early. We always get grumpy about them for way too early. Way too early.
It's too early for that.
They're not very good, but they can, you know.
More coming up on Monday night.
Well, can I say one more thing?
It's your show.
The people who behind the scenes at Garage Logic,
yes, sir,
they got to figure out the Garage Logic flag situation.
Oh God!
Because we've just sold out the flags again.
Thank you, GLers.
Well, I don't blame the GLers. They love the flag. We got to fix this. You got to get a flag that we can
sell
that people can afford. You know what I'm saying? I think tariffs are killing these GL flags because we got to get all the material from.
That we're running out of GL flags.
Yeah, boy.
Trump's fault. These flags are coming from China. No, I don't know where they're made.
When it was all said and done, I think I paid just over $100, $109, I think, with shipping, if I remember right.
You're not joking, are you?
No, no. And it's still in the package on my dining room table. I'm afraid to open it up.
Yeah.
Wait, so I got $100 sitting behind me?
Yeah.
Well, look at those flags. They're gorgeous.
They are.
I just don't know what to do about it, folks. I'm trying my best. I'm lobbying on your behalf. And I'll get to the bottom of it.
Hey, what's this button do?
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, GLers, in addition to going online to GarageLogic.com, where you can buy all sorts of Garage Logic related material, you can also sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. And as long as you're online, how about subscribing to the Garage Logic YouTube channel? Yeah, Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and on that channel, you can watch the show each and every single day, and you can interact with the show live and other GLers. So find us on YouTube. Just search for Garage Logic and search Garage Logic on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. And send an email to Joe on the website.
No paper included.
GarageLogic.com.